Thank you so much. I will do my best to stick to the 15 minutes. For now, I would like to pick your brains on what comes to your mind when we say youth, when we say young people. I bet that most of the words that come to your mind would be like power, energy, adventure. And these words often describe a character that is ready to take action, a character that is fearless. And the youth of today, they are fearless. Many political and environmental movements have been started in the last decade by youth, and these movements shaped a different world that we know today. Youth are also the number one users of social media. They have huge influence on each other and on the world. They have these powerful tools that connect them, regardless of the geographic or any language barriers. Next, please. However, when we talk about youth in terms of empowerment, these conversations are mostly led by older people, by another generation, that are not actually familiar with their struggles, who are not able actually to identify their demands and their needs. Next, please. So when we talk about road safety, we are all familiar with this statistic that the total number of road traffic deaths around the world is around 1.35 million worldwide. But how many youth are we losing? How much young people are we losing that are not distributed, not clearly significant in this number? Next, please. As people working in the road safety field, we know that 1/3 of this huge number of people who are being lost on the world's roads every single year are aged between 15 and 29 years old. And this is like an alarming number that the world needs to respond to. Next, please. So since we are working in the road safety field, we know this information and we are doing our best trying to address this issue. But what about youth who are actually the victims of this number? Mostly when we talk about road safety, road traffic crashes, young people are being blamed. Everyone is saying youth are the problem. Next, please. They are being blamed because of their behavior, reckless behavior. They tend to speed more. They tend to not respect the traffic laws. They tend to be distracted, and they are highly influenced by the reckless behavior by their peers. So this is the general image that young people have, that they are the problem when it comes to road crashes. Next, please. However, when we think about these young people, we need to remember that all of us have been young once in their lives. And we have like this statement: youth love luxury, they have bad manners, they contempt for authority, they show disrespect for elders, and they love chatter in places of exercise. Youth are now tyrants, not the servants of their households. They no longer rise when the elders enter the room. They contradict their partner, their parents. They chatter before company. They gobble. They cross their legs. They tyrannize their teachers. Maybe we would think that this statement has been said by maybe an angry parent or an angry teacher or someone who had like bad experience working with young people. But actually, this statement has been said by Socrates. Next, please. And so this Socrates, who had young people, who became later philosophers that we are reading today. We read their material, we read their ideas, we are trying to interpret what vision they had for the world, and we thought of them as great leaders. But however, to Socrates, the old person that actually lived with them in that era, they were tyrants, they were reckless, they were irresponsible. So this is like a problem that has been here for ages. Young people are always misunderstood by the older generations. They are not integrated. They are not open to discussions. So this is something that our organization is trying to overcome. We are trying to bring young people to the table because they are capable of offering so much to the road safety challenge. Next, please. So yours is an organization that works with young people on a global scale. We have multiple programs that enable us to work firsthand with young people and connect them with other global partners. Next, please. I would like to tell you about the journey of yours. It was born out of the first United Nations Global Road Safety Week back in 2007. Thank you. Yes, keep next. And it is a direct follow-up for the UN World Youth Assembly for Road Safety, which took place in 2007, where more than 400 young people who came from over 100 countries gathered together to discuss the global road safety crisis and how can young people be part of the solution. One of the main wishes for these youth ambassadors was to create a global youth organization that would lead a global youth movement for road safety. And this is how yours came to life. So once these young people returned to their homes, there was this global call for this movement to be turned into a sustainable organization. So in 2009, yours was launched, focusing on three key areas that we can see in the next slide, please. These key areas are youth empowerment, global advocacy, and supporting decision makers, because we believe in the high potential of youth to lead a road safety revolution. It is essential to empower young people to take action, and it's important to work on achieving meaningful youth participation in all phases and all levels of decision making. We find peer-to-peer communication also essential to inform youth and like indirectly the community at large in taking a positive approach that focuses on the value of life. Next, please. Here we can see the ladder of youth participation. Young people are like, there are multiple ways that we can engage young people, but what we are looking for as an organization is meaningful youth engagement, like to actually look at them as not as beneficiaries of what we are doing, but as partners and leaders who are able to take the initiative and actually respond to these challenges that we are facing when it comes to road safety. So there are multiple levels to for young people to participate. Like the lowest is by manipulating them or using them as a decoration in our meetings to say, okay, we are doing this youth event, we are giving them a seat at the table, but they are just a decoration. Where they are being tokenized to send a certain image, like for political reasons or other reasons. Next, please. But what we are looking for is to inform these young people. So when we assign them, when we include them at the decision-making table, they are able to be consulted. They are able to provide an input. After that, maybe young people can be involved in shared decision process with adult-initiated initiatives. But what we are aiming for is for young people to reach a certain level of being able to lead on their own in their local communities. And when they are seated at the decision-making table, they are able to share a vision that will actually contribute to the bigger goal that we are all working towards, which is less fatalities and injuries caused by road crashes. Next, please. So now I'm going to tell you about one of our projects that we are working on. In 2020, like right before COVID, the Second World Youth Assembly for Road Safety took place in Sweden. It was an official event under the Third Ministerial Conference on Road Safety, which gathered 160 youth leaders from 74 countries. Next, please. From the assembly, um, we came out with the Global Youth Statement for Road Safety. So it was this document was created through the delegates who wanted to have like an organization that they can connect with like-minded youth, so they can work together to make roads safer. And this led to creating the Global Youth Coalition for Road Safety. It came like as a direct response to the demands and needs for the World Youth Assembly delegates. Next, please. So now we have the Global Youth Coalition for Road Safety as one of the programs that yours is leading. At the coalition, we work on all three elements of activity: advocacy, youth empowerment, and we also work with decision makers and empower our youth to work with decision makers. It is a standalone network of passionate young leaders who are working for road safety and sustainable mobility, and it acts like as a support structure of individual youth to take action. Next, please. Our slogan for the Global Youth Coalition for Road Safety is claiming our space. I like it so much because when young people say that they are claiming their space in road safety, they have like reflect an image about the leadership and their contributions and what kind of valuable input that they can bring to the road safety challenge. I'm going to tell you about our campaign, which we are going to launch in the next week. It's celebrating our slogan, reclaiming our space, and we are aiming to empower young people to demand and deliver road safety and showcase their leadership while encouraging them to support decision makers to achieve meaningful engagement with young people. How are we aiming to achieve that? We are actually employing arts. We are collaborating with 6 young artists, next please, from 6 different countries in 3 main regions: Asia, Africa, and Latin America. These young artists come from different disciplines. They are going to be inspired by the inputs of our young members, and they are going to produce 6 art pieces that are going to be exhibited at the UN high-level meeting in New York. Next, please. We are proposing a call to action for our members. We are asking them, what are they demanding from politicians? What can we achieve from the alliance between youth and decision makers in order to influence a positive change in road safety and the sustainable development goals as well? So their answers and their responses to the call to action will be used to influence the artists to create the 6 art pieces, as well as they will be collected, and we are going to create a guideline for policymakers that will also come to life at the UN high-level meeting by the end of the upcoming June. So look forward to our campaign. It's going to be launched in different languages: Arabic, French, English, Spanish, and Portuguese. It's inclusive, and if you have access to youth networks, invite them to take part in the campaign and to be part of the Global Youth Coalition for Road Safety. Now I'm going to tell you about the principles that guide the Global Youth Coalition. We are guided by 5 main principles that help our members work toward achieving their demands that are listed in the Global Youth Statement. Next, please. These 5 main principles are first, that we are youth driven, because you can't achieve anything about young people without involving young people. So we believe in their leadership. We want to put them at the center of development to ensure that all the actions are led by young leaders. We will ensure that the youth voices are front and centered and always brought to the table. So we give our young people the chance to succeed and to learn and to generate leadership through their experience. The second principle is the equality and diversity. We pay special attention at the Global Youth Coalition to diversity in terms of country, region, gender, expertise, fields of studies, and specializations, especially like how it's connected to the development themes, the sustainable development goals. And we promote this diversity and inclusion as a key element to uphold equality of opportunity, to acknowledge that a diverse team is yielding and vibrating innovative solutions. Also, we aim to achieve meaningful youth participation because young people have the right to be adequately engaged. We are focusing on sustainable development goals that are linked to preventing road traffic crashes As you know, as we said before, it's the biggest threat to the lives of young people all over the world. And youth themselves, they have the potential to accelerate road safety revolution, like as an agent of change in their local communities and beyond. We are also focusing on safe and sustainable mobility because we are aiming to create a world or a system that is accessible and affordable for everyone, regardless of their age or socioeconomic status or their gender. And the last guiding principle is the Global Youth Statement, which acts like as a key roadmap tool to open conversation about safe mobility and its implementation, as well as it calls stakeholders and to guide actions in their countries and communities. And also, we are supporting our members to continue their commitments and their demands in order to achieve a safer roads for all. Next, please. For now, we have at the Global Youth Coalition, we have more than 931 members who come from 107 countries around the world, and their voices are represented clearly in the Global Youth Statement. And we have over 2,500 young people involved in our activities indirectly. Next, please. We are aiming to increase the number of young leaders that are advocating for safe mobility systems, and we are aiming to build their capacities in terms of advocacy from a local and a global perspective. And for that, we have our key principles on achieving this integration between local actions and global advocacy. Next, please. We are aiming to scale up the youth-led actions at a grassroots level to influence better policies and their implementation in local communities. By that, we are providing them with skill training. We have advocacy toolkits, and we have other tools like the youth consultations, where our young people talk to their peers about road safety issues and try to brainstorm together how can we address these challenges. We also provide the chance or connect our young people with other organizations where they can speak at international or national levels to make sure that the youth voices are heard. We also have a very ambitious project. Next, please. We call it the Local Actions. It's like an incubator for short-term or mid-term grassroots actions that are oriented to address the most pressing issues in the cities or the areas where our young people are based. These projects must have a tangible contribution to the achievements of the Global Youth Statement for Road Safety, and also a clear connection with the global plan for the decade of action. Projects must be conceived and led and implemented by young people. They are mostly focused on 2 or 3 priorities that you can see here: the community mobilization, awareness, advocacy, as well as peer-to-peer engagement. Last year, we managed to fund 12 projects with young people from different countries. This year, we have 17 local action projects from Latin America, Africa, Europe, and Asia. And they are going to start implementing their projects next April. Next, please.
Just time check, Sana.
Yes, I will
Almost
try to wrap it up. So in a nutshell, we aim to offer resources and to identify the skill gaps for young people, build their capacities, and support them in building partnerships so we can bring youth and relevant stakeholders, like from broader health, mobility, and youth leadership contexts together. We have young people in our organization's structure. We have them from different countries and backgrounds who work with us to respond to the youth needs. They take a strategic part in planning our activities. We provide them with opportunities to make their voices heard and to raise their capacity at tackling the road safety issues at a global scale. Next, please. They are part of the Youth Leadership Board, and also we have the SDG champions who work on making policy briefs that connect road safety with the relevant sustainable development goals. We also have regional leaders that support us in recruiting and engaging with young members from different regions, as well as we have the talents pool, which is like a network of young people who showed extraordinary and outstanding leadership skills. We provide them with exclusive access to funding and opportunities to build their skills and to also build their leadership. For now, this is the Global Youth Coalition for Road Safety. You can check our website, claimingourspace.org, and we would love to hear about your organization and how are you aiming to include the youth voices in what you are doing, because as we said, without young people, we cannot achieve anything for young people. So thank you so much for listening, and sorry I took more time than I should have.
It's okay. Thank you, Sana. This was great to hear from you and to learn from the yours organization, and this was great. So I have questions, and we had sort of come up with some ideas of how to continue the discussion, but given that we have so many of the grantees here, I'm going to give them a space to ask your question. So if anybody has a question right now, please feel free to just open your mic. If we end up in chaos of 20 people trying to talk, then I'll organize it differently. But feel free to open your microphone and just ask us your question. It can be question, comment, discussion, description of what you're doing, wonderful insight that you got during the past 15 minutes. So feel free. And even, I think, Kuilin, you were trying to talk, but I...
No.
Oh, okay. Anyway, so I'm just going to say one thing that I felt was sort of as I was thinking about the work of the grantees and what everybody's doing in their different cities or countries in their work. So one issue that I'm always struggling with is how do we more actively involve youth in the actual implementation. So there's a lot of work going around discussions, policies, and campaigns. But in the work that is happening here with the grantees, there's a lot of work being done on the ground, like literally painting the street kind of thing. So is there anything that you feel or any experience that you'd like to share, Sana, around that, or things that you feel are positive engagement tips, let's say, to get youth more involved or better involved, or even problems that you've seen? Anything that you can think of is great to hear from you.
Yeah, that's actually something excellent that we need to all think about. As a youth organization, the key to everything we do is that we ask the young people. We ask our members. We are continuously in a conversation on how can we support them to take action. We have developed like a needs assessment that we keep on collecting responses from young people to see what kinds of needs they need. How can we empower them to take action? And we receive different interpretation to these needs because, like for example, if we have young people based in Africa, the kind of risk factors that they face are different from the ones that are in Latin America, for example. So we have developed multiple tools that allow us to assess their needs and to support them in addressing these needs. We have a youth consultation, which is a tool that young people use to talk to their peers. So they like start a conversation with their peers about road safety. This conversation, through this tool, they are able to identify the main road safety issue that they want to tackle. They are able to map the stakeholders that they want to work with, and they are able to align one main goal with like multiple objectives that will help them as young people work with these stakeholders to address this issue. Through this youth consultation, we have seen that young people are disproportionately affected by road crashes around the world, and they have different needs. So it's not like a general conversation. For us at yours, it's important to reach out to the youth, collect their voices, and see what can we offer to them to make them capable of actually addressing the road safety issues. Our youth, when they use the youth consultation tool, they come up with proposals, and like they come up with ideas on how can they, as young people, initiate a change, and how can they influence a positive impact in road safety in their communities. And we try to connect them through our second program, which is the local actions. Through the local actions, we provide them with a seed fund and with mentorship and guidance, so they are able to implement these ideas and the proposals that they had in mind when they consulted with their peers. Through the local actions, we have seen that, for example, young people in Africa, they work so much on advocacy because they want to engage the government on a policy making level. For others, they had different priorities. For example, we have seen like more awareness and more community mobilization in regions like Latin America. And young people always like think out of the box. They try to implement new ways and new strategies in order to bring more stakeholders to be engaged with them. I like that you mentioned the tactical urbanism project that you are involved in. Actually, we have did a capacity development training for our members last year on tactical urbanism, and we have seen that they were very interested in influencing this kind of intervention for schools and for a safe and sustainable mobility on one hand. On the other hand, we have also provided a training for the IRAP star rating for schools. It's a software that allows young people to identify the main risk factors in neighborhoods around school zones. Through this software and this training, they do this assessment with their team, and they are able to see how many star ratings did these zones get. If it was 1 star or 2 stars, they know that this neighborhood is unsafe for students, and they try to come up with a set of recommendations to raise this rating so they can reach 3 stars or more, so they can have an impact on reducing the risk for school students who always go on foot every morning in their daily journeys to schools. So these are the main things from our experience. And I can see that we have a question.
Yeah. Tani, please go ahead.
Hi, Atsani.
I think you have to open your mic if it's.
Oh my goodness. I just did a massive spiel there and singing as well that you guys missed, but I'll repeat myself. Thank you, Sana, for the presentation and elaboration. What yours do, that's fantastic. I love your work. I just want to chime in on the sort of like the practical application that we've done at Botnar Child Road Safety Challenge. I don't see anyone from Tanzania here with the Tanga project, which is what I'm in charge of for the Botnar team. But one of the great ways that we've heard from the community from this is, of course, when youth comes into it, they've actually want jobs, they want opportunities, and a great way that we've sort of implemented this for us was that we're actually doing a population-based study for road safety. So what are the community thoughts on road safety and what we can do moving forward? So we're working with the City University in New York, but we also have a research manager who's a strong young woman who is a local. But what we wanted to do was actually invest the time in upskilling and training youth. So I think we had about, we advertised for the position, and for positions, sorry, we wanted up to 20 researchers, so research assistants, and we had 600 applications. So So, it was a great opportunity for us to engage the youth, listen to what they say, but of course, what's more importantly for them was give them the opportunity to work, right? To actually apply their skills. And a lot of these guys are actually have degrees in public health and bachelor's or even masters. So we did that. We took the time to actually invest in them, and the last 6 months they've been working very hard on these research project with Amen and the City University of New York, and supported by the George Institute of London Imperial College. So again, the win-win for us was we get their point of view, they also get the work experience. So that's Carlos, just one application of that we've done in another project. So I just want to chime that in. Again, thanks for your elaboration, Sana.
Thank
Yeah,
you, Atani.
yeah, thanks for that. I see that I'm going to leave first the two questions that are in the chat before Kim, because otherwise it would be too many people from GRSP talking.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah. So Bijay Lakshmi was asking if you could present the ladder. I'm going to project the ladder, and then maybe you can describe.
Yes, actually, the ladder of youth participation aims like to highlight how do we see young people. Do we see them as beneficiaries? That means that we are going to do the work and they are only going to benefit from. So they are going to see the result of what we are going to do. The second way to see them is to see them as partners. And in order to raise their capacities to be involved in our activities, we need to inform them. We need to make sure that they are aware about road safety and they have the right capacity in order to have a seat at the table. And the highest level is for young people to be leaders, to be capable of actually leading and initiating the responses to the road safety challenge, because they are the main, I don't want to say victim, but they are the most affected age group by road crashes. So if we keep on looking them as only a group of people that will be influenced or will face the result of the work that we are going to do, then we will not achieve our goals and our ambitions in reducing fatalities and injuries among this group. So what we are aiming to do is to bring these young people, especially the ones that have strong leadership skills and that have like the capability of involving their peers and having a good impact. We need to raise their capacity in order to be our partners, to have a shared decision with us as adults and as organizations, as stakeholders. And then we will have a community of young people who are capable of leading this change that we are aspiring to see. So for the youth participation, we always recommend to bring young people to the conversation, to involve them, and to make sure that they have what it takes to respond to their needs. I hope this answered your question.
Yeah, I actually also I love the ladder, and of course for people who are into participation, we've seen different versions. This one on
Yeah.
youth I felt was a wonderful way. There's two questions from Danki Kanlin. If you can just
Yes,
read
I
through
can see
Sana
it.
and go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah,
So
she's
please
asking.
take it up.
Yeah, she's asking how can youth or countries access to the funding from yours, and how much can yours fund a project proposed by youth? Um, Actually, it's very simple. Our main criteria is that we need the young people to be part of our network. So they need to sign up, register to be a member at the Youth Coalition for Road Safety. This is the first criteria. The second thing is that we want to make sure they are involving their peers in this proposed idea. So we ask them to use our tool, which is the youth consultations. It is a guide for young people that helps them identify the local road safety issue that they are trying to tackle. And it helps them map their stakeholders and have their objectives and goals clear. After that, they submit a 2 pages proposal. We review it. This year we received over 66 proposals. We reviewed it at 2 phases, a pre-selection committee that shortlisted 23 projects. And then we had a selection committee that was able to identify 17 main projects to receive the funding. We don't have any restrictions. Anyone can apply as long as they're members and as long as they fit the criteria. We have from different countries. We have from India, Indonesia, Mexico, literally every part of the world. And we provide them with 5,000 euros. This is the main seed fund. You were asking also about the technical support during the implementation process. You're absolutely right, because many people come with really ambitious ideas and they are super young. We have one of our local action winners, one of the fund winners this year, is 18 years old, and he came up with a super interesting idea. So we make sure to provide him and his peers with mentorship and guidance throughout the entire implementation process. These projects are being implemented between 6 months and 1 year. Throughout this year, we give them capacity development trainings, for example, on advocacy, on project management, on multiple things. We assess their needs, we see what kind of help, what kind of support they need, and then we provide them with this guidance, and we keep this communication going, and we keep this capacity trainings going until they complete the implementation of their projects. So yes, you are absolutely right, and if you want to know more about the local actions, you can go to our website, claimingourspace.org/local actions. You can see the experience of the last year, and you can also have an idea about our upcoming projects for this year. Our young people will start working in April on the implementation.
Yeah, and thanks. And I think we're going to be pasting into the chat some of the links directly.
Yeah.
I saw that Sonia raised her hand, but then she unraised it. So, I mean, just everybody should know that Mexico had a wonderful day yesterday because their law was approved, the mobility and road safety law, where I'm sure Sonia had a lot to do and some of the other people. So I'm taking the chance to just congratulate Sonia. And anyway, Sonia, if you'd like to sort of ask anything at any point, please feel free to just chime in directly, whatever it is that you wanted to ask. But then Kim, you also had.
Yes. Hi,
Yeah,
how are you? So my question is that it's really good, important to engage the youth and then have the youth have their voice in the decision-making process. My question is, how do you engage the decision makers, the older people, to listen to the youth? I found that a lot of time in my work, when I say that they immediately, really quickly discredited the youth, and especially in small top-down decision-making process, they actually would not listen. So how do you engage the policymakers, like older people, like to listen to the youth?
Yes, thank you so much. This is a great question, because what we are looking for is meaningful engagement of young people. As we said, we don't want to look at them as only beneficiaries of what we are doing. So the main thing actually that we are trying to address this year through our Claiming Our Space campaign, we are trying to create a policy guide for the decision makers on meaningful youth engagement. We are collecting responses from our youth members on what should we do to make an alliance between decision makers and young people to respond to the road safety challenges. And I believe that this guide will be an important tool for local communities, because if we want to achieve effective advocacy, we need to work at a local level to have a greater impact on the global level. So for our young people, as I told you, as I mentioned, we have different structures that we work with within the organization. We have the SDG champions. The SDG champions, they work on evidence-based research. They produce policy briefs that connect sustainable development goals with road safety. We have released a policy this month on the connection between gender equality, for example, and road safety. And we have an upcoming policy brief on education and road safety. Through these policy briefs, we come up with a set of recommendations for governments and for stakeholders on how can they engage young people in addressing the goals of the global plan, and in connecting these sustainable development goals with the sustainable mobility. Because at the end of the day, if we want to talk about road safety, it's such a multidisciplinary issue. We need to involve people from different backgrounds. So this is what we are doing for now. We also encourage our young people, for example, the local action winners, to reach out to their governments. And we always tell them, don't just aim for only an informal meeting or for a meeting. We want you to get commitment from them. So we push them to create letters that address the minister, for example, of transportation or the authorities in their governments. Many of them, they work on petitions, and they create manifestos for road safety, and they try to communicate it to the decision makers at their government. This is what we are doing so far, and we are aiming to coming up with more effective approaches to have like actual empowerment of young people. And I would love to hear about your project, since your projects are focused more on actual interventions in urban settings. So this would be an angle that we would love to explore with you as well.
Yes, and thanks for reiterating that. I think that is sort of part of what we'd like to do, how to keep on engaging in the actual work that is happening, because
Yep.
that's sort of, it's good to have the youth directly, not just the older people. Sonia raised her hand again, so let's see. I think maybe she was going to get coffee and now she's back. But yeah, Sonia, please. And thank you for waking up so early also.
Hi, Sana. Hi, Carlos. Thank you very
Hi,
much,
Sonia.
Sana, for that wonderful presentation. And I will share a little bit about our project regarding your great presentation. We are working in Mexico in a small town called Colima, and I think it's a perfect laboratory. When the Botnar Foundation and GRSP shared that the scope of the project need to include youth and we pass from children to youth, there was a big challenge, like trying to understand how can we reach youth in the best way, not only like giving them voice, but making that voice make a transformation for real life of the neighborhood citizens and in general for well-being. And I and my team started to look at how to engage them. And I believe that at the first point, we realized that in the intervention, site interventions was a real good way to do it. But as the program has evolved, I think that something very interesting is to make this interchange between youth that have a professional knowledge. And I will share the experience of Enrique and Geo that are telematic engineers that are that are studying in one of the most important engineering universities in Mexico, and they have been developing with this project a tool, a platform where we all see data of mobility and road safety, and they have not only learned about road safety and mobility, but they are rather giving all their knowledge to professionals that are nowadays in the government working. So I think this has also accelerated the knowledge of the local governments. That is another way to do things too. And by now they are developing their thesis in this team, in this sense. And I think in some way we can also change the point of view of how we involve youth through giving also these spaces where we treat them very seriously, and they can see their work changing the way things are done in a normal way. So I believe we could work also there, because I have seen that this generates a big change, and they are very committed with not only with infrastructure, but also with data technology, public policy work. So thank you very much, Sana, and looking forward to work also with you.
Thank you so much, Sonia. I want to make a quick reflection on what you just said. When we think of youth, we think that they are just a specific group of people that have like same needs and same demands. But from our experience, they fall into different categories. Like, for example, at the Global Youth Coalition, our members are aged between 16 and 35 years old. So we have people who are still in schools. We have people who are university students. We have people starting their careers, and we have professionals who have like good experience working in the fields of transportation and mobility. So when we think of their needs, we try to map them based on their regions, their age, their sectors that they are working with. So this brings so many ways that we can involve them at many multiple levels. For example, one of the projects that we are going to launch by the end of April is the Yours Academy. You reflected on data and informing young people and educating them about road safety. Through the Yours Academy, we are going to provide a platform that is free access for all young people. They can learn about the road safety from global perspective and how it connects to different sustainable development goals. I believe as a young person myself, when I talk about road safety, it's not relevant to youth. They think that it doesn't concern them. It's not something that, it's not as pressing as the climate change, for example. To them, this is what they think. But when I present data and when I present actual numbers, that it might be you, it might be someone you love, they think about it. Like it gives them an angle that they haven't thought about. So through this project, we aim to have more educated young people on this issue, and to have the ability to build like a road safety revolution similar to the ones that we have for climate, because it's road safety and road crashes. It's as pressing as climate. We are losing so many lives every single year. It's unacceptable. So we are aiming to always investigate new approaches to involve these youth uh, based on their needs and also their capabilities.
Thank you, Sana.
Yeah, thanks. That's really useful. And thanks also, Sonia, for contributing with your direct experience. Oh, we have another comment from Lynn in the chat. We anyway were thinking whether Vipav or Advait would want to share a little bit of their experience in Rohtak. So I'm not sure if they're around and would like to just start talking whenever you want. We have a few minutes left.
Yes,
But
WRI India, we're calling you out because only because the team and I have been looking at the Botnar 6-month report, and we've heard great things from Kim and your monthly updates on your Rotak challenge and also your claiming space. So it'd be great if you can say a word or two.
Yeah, sure, Sani, and great presentation, Sana. Uh, yeah, I was actually about to write this in the chat also. I think in our experience in Rohtak, we have found that we were engaging children in the first phase, and as Carlos said, we have a lot of tactical urbanism projects, on ground projects. Children were more interested in the tactical urbanism than the youth are. But in phase two, while we are engaging with youth, I think there is a lot of potential with respect to technology. We have technology competitions in the Botnar challenge that we have doing in Rohtak, and we are getting very good responses. I mean, there are more than 1,200 people participating. There are 60 different ideas coming up on how through technology we can improve mobility and road safety for youth. So it is a solution developed by youth for the youth. So in that manner of speaking, we are seeing a lot of traction from the youth to get into technology. And we have in fact we have just launched the second challenge a couple of days back to get some more ideas on how we can improve this thing. Yeah.
yeah, thanks, Vaibhav. And actually, if you can share links to that in the chat, it would be great so that we can all already see that. We have 5 minutes left.
Carlos, just want
Yeah.
to add one more thing really quickly. I WRI India also doing a design competition. They're also asking the youth to design a lot of open space. So also it's a same thing. It's like how the youth want to use the space, how they would like to see the space to be designed. So it's based on their idea, which is really good. And then WRI is also engaging with the policymakers on adopting all the technology improvement and also the design improvements as well. That's all.
Thanks, Kim, and thanks, Carlos, and of course Viba as well. Thank you very much. I think he's being very humble here, but he's been getting a lot of great, not just statewide, but also national traction. So this is also a great opportunity for people to, especially youth who are more entrepreneurial than ever, to to apply themselves in terms in this space. But then with a little bit of sort of like guidance and also support. Financially and resourcing from us, they can thrive into sort of obtaining sort of like funding for their businesses, right? And this is again, it crosses home not just the road safety sector, but as the second decade of action wants to challenge us, it's also about youth engagement using tech and the empowering people, but then also developing sort of like the empowerment of towards economic development, right? So it's really great on all fronts. So thank you for that, guys.
I think it's very important to say that young people have been recognized for the first time in the second decade of action as a main stakeholder. So this is a great opportunity for all stakeholders and everyone involved in road safety to engage them meaningfully. So it's a great opportunity for us to investigate how many different ways that we can bring the youth voices to the table. So thank you so much for the important reflection, Atsani.